We have one more piece of feedback to get to, which is some feedback from an anonymous source who pushed back on your recommendation of a 30-minute long video. There was an interesting report that came out from oneof10.com. For those of you who don't know, 1 of 10 is kind of a play on a YouTube feature where when you post to YouTube as a creator, if you're in the studio section of the website, depending on how good the video is, according to the rank of the last 10 videos, at that point in time, it will give you a rank. So 1 of 10 means it's performing the best out of the last 10 videos at that point of time. 10 out of 10 means it's doing the worst out of the last 10 videos at that point in time. So 1 of 10 means your video is rocking it. They posted this interesting image that Neutrally has for us, where they showed you the video duration and the length of the video in terms of the length of the video and the number of views that they found that those videos were having. And you'll notice a box around the middle there that said between 16 and 26 minutes, which is lower than Benji's recommendation of 30. So I wanted to start there, Benji. Tell me what your thoughts are about this when you saw this. And then also, I have a little bit deeper to go because I've got some more data.
Okay, well, let me give context. Fancy, Neutrally, transitions. Let me give context when I say 30, okay? 30 doesn't just represent the length of the video. It's the psychology behind 30 that's important. You know the rule that we used to have in YouTube Secrets when me and Sean were first writing that and then coaching people is the video needs to be as long as it needs to be.
Yeah.
You don't want to arbitrarily just stuff it with random stuff just to make it hit a certain threshold. So when I say 30, that's not entirely like have it 30 right on the dot. The reason I say 30 is because you'll remember that number because that's how we arrange our day, which comes to the other part of it. We think about our days in 30-minute increments, right? Half hour, a whole hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it is. So 30 is just something to shoot for, but not necessarily arbitrarily like record stuff just to get to that number. For me, like right now, a video just went out and I think it was like 28 minutes or whatever. I'm not like, oh, how do I get to 30? Okay.
Yeah.
Now I will say of the top 3 videos in the last 12 months that have gotten the most views on my channel, they were all 30 to 35 minutes.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I said that. Okay. But when I look at this graph, it's like, yeah, for sure. Like the data shows there's so much more to like how long a video should be, why that graph is the way it is. I mean, where are they getting that data from? And I'm not going to defend my 30 as if it's like the end all be all. This is the truth of YouTube. Really, 30 is an idea.
Yeah.
It's the idea that videos should be longer now just because the behavior is different. And 2, 30 represents something that we've all grown up with as long as you're born in the 80s or 90s, maybe early 2000s, that shows are 30 minutes long, okay? So the thing is this, if I were to give a more like contextual number that's more accurate, I would say like 20 to 30 minutes long, which would be closer to what this graph is saying. So that's my thing. And I'm not saying because I'm trying to defend it or trying to like change it. When I got interviewed by Sean and he asked me about this and I said, there's finally a number, 30, it wasn't giving the full context, but really what I was trying to say is like, YouTube is different. People are watching it on the bigger device, the television, and they're just watching way more and they want longer. Because what's funny about that graph is if you keep it going, they say that it starts going massively up at 1 hour and 2 hours.
In fact, Neutrally, why don't you go ahead and pull that up because we do have it. And one of the interesting pieces of feedback that we got on this is that, right, the issue is that if you're aiming for 30, right, you kind of reach there's a trough there. You'll notice at the bottom, it starts on the left side at 5 minutes. It goes up around 15 to 20 minutes and then it peaks at 20, 25 minutes and starts to drop again at 30, but stays high at a plateau until about, I want to say maybe 60 minutes is when it starts bending upward again. But those really, really long videos, the 85-minute long videos, the 135-minute long videos, and even the 170-minute long videos is actually the peak in terms of the median number of views that they found on these. So we're talking uber extra long 2+ hour videos that are getting actually the most views, even above those 30-minute segments, right? Which is just incredible. We're going to talk a little bit about a live stream that you did the other day that's in that range. But man, it's amazing to see, and it really illuminates what you're talking about.
Didn't I call it?
Oh, you called it 100%.
But no, what I'm saying about the AVD.
Yes. No, and neutrally, if you can go back to the original blue bar graph again, because this one I found interesting as well, because this is where the precipice happens. This is what we just saw, right? So around that 28-minute range, and actually at the 20-minute range, you can see it start to drop again to get to that plateau around 30 minutes. And I do actually want to defend what your argument was the other day, because more and more I care less about views. Don't get me wrong, views are important, and I care way more about AVD and watch time, which is the things that we talked about.
Average view duration, that's the average amount of time someone spends on that video, regardless of what the length is.
Exactly. And so when you think about this, if you look at that graph again, you can see that at 20 minutes is where it peaks. And we said 30 minutes. And so think about the difference in length of those videos, right? Now, a longer video doesn't guarantee longer watch time, but it tends to correlate with longer watch time. I just experienced this on my own channel, where I posted an hour-long video and I got the longest watch time that I've ever gotten before. This is something that you've almost always talked about with your channel, that to a certain point, the longer video you post, the longer the watch time
What
is.
was the length of the AVD?
Of my channel?
Yeah.
It's about 12 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, on a 50-minute long video. So it's still in the like 20% range, but it's longer. So it shows you that there's still an appetite for these longer videos, right? But think about the difference between 20 minutes and 30 minutes. That's a 50% longer video. What does that mean? People are potentially watching for 50% longer. There's 50% more ads that are playing. There's 50% more time that they are spending on your channel rather than clicking around to other people's channels, right? But then you look at the view count on those things, and it's about 53,000 versus 47,000. That's only about a 13% increase in the number of views that you're getting, right? So depending on what business you're running, but depending on what your goals are, you can make an argument that there's actually more economic sense to make that 30-minute long video, because potentially you're getting more ad slots in that time period. And that, to me, is one that gets to the core of what we've talked about in 2025 and into 2026, which is that the length of the video is amazing because being driven by TV watching. And what's amazing about TV watching is that you're getting the advertising dollars that come with TV watching as well.
You know what Nolan told me about AVD being high, but your view count being lower, right? Like, say it's not performing like normal, but the AVD is crazy high. He says it could be a packaging thing. He says that it could be a title and thumbnail, not aligned, but the people watching. Of course, this is a whole nother discussion of why a video wouldn't perform, but the people that do watch it for so long.
Yes.
Number one is they're your loyal viewers.
Exactly.
Okay, they just want to watch whatever you put up. They like you as a creator. Secondly, this is why long form is a huge hack. They just leave it on.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they're watching on the TV and it's background viewing, like that white noise video, they just leave it on. So guess what? Like, I don't know, like, you know, when it comes to like averages, it can be skewed by like the extremes. I forgot what you call it. You're a math guy, math teacher.
Yeah.
What do you call that? When
That's
like
skewing.
Yeah, it's skewing the average, right? So people are just leaving it on. So what if my AVD set aside the people that leave it on would be way lower if it was just like people that are actively watching it or paying attention and making a choice, right? And there is a I think a huge third one that really helps to get that higher, which is they really care about the thing that is being talked about. Okay. I think part of it is like they also trust you as the person talking about it. So I kind of say that because are we going to get into my video now?
Well, we have a little bit of a gap between the two, but we do.
Because I really want to talk about this because I'm telling you my thought, because I had a follow-up like workout with Sean and we talked more in depth about that 30-minute mark, and I was joking how like he just uploaded a 30-minute video even though he's saying like, oh, it should be 26 minutes long or whatever. And I told you it all has to do with AVD.
Yeah, and actually, there's one more graph I want to show before we get to that. This is a teaser for those of you who are watching the live or watching the replay. If you're watching after the fact and this is a clip, go ahead and click on the link in the description. We have a link to the other video where Benji talks about his live breakdown. But here is the last graphic I want to show you, which I think encapsulates both of the things that we've said in this, which is that this is a graphic from Tubular Labs, and you can see that this is the number of video, or this is the watch time of videos on YouTube. And 13% of the view time is going under 1 minute. 16% of the view time is going to videos that are between 1 and 10 minutes. 13% of the view time is going to between 10 and 20. And 57% of the view time on YouTube is going to videos that are 20 minutes or longer. So regardless of how you look at things, it shows you that YouTube is the long form platform. I mean, big surprise, right? But it shows you that at least at that 20-minute mark is where things start to get really interesting for YouTubers. And back to the core philosophy of what you said, Benji, to me, that is a remnant of the TV era, of like the actual television broadcasting cable network TV era. There's a reason that shows were broadcast in 20, 25, 30, 1 hour long segments, because like you said, people build their lives around the 30-minute segments, but also it's a digestible amount of time for something to be done on the screen.
Yeah.
Let's get into some topics, but first, we're sponsored this episode by Ecamm Live, the powerful live streaming platform for Mac. Benji, I know you have a lot to say about Ecamm, and one of the big things that you've been doing lately is you've been doing live broadcasts on your cooking channel for the first time in a long time, and part of that was enabled by Ecamm, right?
Yeah. Well, first off, I think that live streaming is the future of all content, especially when you consider AI and the AI slop and just how much competition there is and how competitive is if you want to become a creator. And long form is just the best way to kind of stand apart, also to build trust. And there's nothing more longer than a live stream, right?
Yeah.
And we used to do 24-hour live streams. By the way, I want to test this out with Ecamm one day. But the reason Ecamm is amazing for me is because when we used to do setups for my old cooking live streams, they would take at least an hour, right?
At least.
And all the gear that you kind of seeing is being utilized in here would have to get transferred over there. It's just a nightmare. I have all kinds of lights and all kinds of different gear. I mean, I don't even want to go into it, but basically it looked like a robot was attacking my kitchen, okay, because of the things that were attached to the camera. And even then, it was very limited in the angles I got. Now I use one laptop, 2 DJI Osmo Pocket 3s. Okay, those are both $400 or $500 cameras. And not only is it a 5-minute setup, but I have sometimes 5 to 7 angles, and it runs smooth. By the way, it runs smooth. Okay, I've had glitches in the past just because of the overwhelm of the bandwidth and everything. I don't even know how this works, but Ecamm makes this super easy. Now I'm doing live streams all the time. And Neutrally, I don't know if we want to get him commenting on it real quick, but Neutrally, you should just talk about how much easier it is for you, because not only is it easy for me to set up, but now you're also running it from the comfort of your own home versus before it was both of us setting up for hours, and it was just crazy.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on the old setup too much, but just to, put it in reality, it took a solid hour and a half just to get all the equipment and all the angles to Benji's liking. And then with Ecamm, like Benji mentioned, he literally plugs in 2 DJIs into his MacBook and then sends me the code to connect in remotely. And that's literally it.
That's it. And no batteries too involved, because we used to have to charge up batteries and batteries would die, and we'd have to have backup. And so now, because the Osmos are plugged in USB-C, the laptop powers. It's just crazy. So I highly recommend Ecamm. I love it. We've been using other software like I said, all the way back to Blog TV days. It's the best live streaming software, and I'm loving that we're working with them for our podcast.
Yeah, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. If you look at Benji's channel, he has been live streaming a lot lately, and part of that is the belief in live that Benji brought up at the beginning. But I can guarantee you, if he believed in it and it wasn't easy to set up, it probably wouldn't be getting done as much. That's something that we believe about all content on YouTube. So if you're interested, see how it works for yourself by starting a free trial at the link in the show notes, and use code BenjiTV15 for 15% off your first month. And they literally can't pay us to say this, but we've loved streaming with Ecamm on Benji's Food Lives. So go to the link in the show notes, start the trial, and use code BenjiTV15 for 15% off your first month. Thank you so much to Ecamm Live for sponsoring our show.